The Mission Impossible franchise is full of amazing moments and standout scenes. There's a scene where Ethan rides a motorcycle off a cliff in Dead Reckoning, or there's the scene where he climbs the Burj Khalifa in Ghost Protocol. Both are great scenes with insane practical effects and truly awesome stunt work by Tom Cruise. However, there's one scene in the best film in the series, Mission Impossible Fallout, that I believe is actually up there with those other scenes I just mentioned, and the exact scene may surprise you. At this point in Fallout, Ethan and his team had just captured Solomon Lane, who plans to release nuclear weapons, and as they're trying to escape, they encounter a young cop. Now, from the cop's point of view, this doesn't look very good. All she sees is a group of men putting somebody with a bag over their head into the backseat of a car. Doesn't exactly make Ethan and his team look like good people. Obviously alarmed, she draws her gun while Ethan talks to her in French, trying to calm the policewoman down and get her to walk away both for her own safety and so Ethan can carry on with his mission. During their conversation, the cop is non-fatally shot by men working for Zola Mitsopolis, somebody who Ethan had just broken a deal with. The men claim that Zola would like to speak to Ethan, and when another asks what to do about the cop, the men decide to finish her off and kill her. The next part of the scene is exactly why I believe this is such a great scene in the movie. It's because of the moral dilemma presented to Ethan and how easily he responds to it. There's a concept created by 19th century philosopher Sigmund Freud about moral decision making, referred to as the id, the ego, and the superego. And this concept actually fits the scene so perfectly that it's kind of crazy. To explain a little bit farther, the id is essentially selfishness, following your instincts to look out for yourself. The superego is kind of the opposite. It's the fear of feeling guilty or being mentally punished as a result of doing or not doing something. The ego is basically your brain making the choice whether to do the selfish act or the selfless one. Again, that perfectly describes the moral decision that Ethan has to make in the scene. The id in this scenario would be Zola's men, the option of the self preserving motive. If Ethan allows Zola's men to kill the woman, then Ethan would not be killed, or at least not immediately, and he'd be taken to Zola, which would allow Ethan more time to plan a proper escape like he usually does. The superego appealing to Ethan's human side to do the right thing is the innocent cop about to be killed, who has nothing to do with the whole situation going on in the movie. She's just trying to do her job. She's a completely innocent person. However, if Ethan takes action to protect her, he's endangering not only his own life, but as well as the lives of his team. But if he's successful, he can save everyone. That's the dilemma, making Ethan the ego in this scenario. He has to make a decision whether he should save the cop or let her be killed. Now, of course, there was never any doubt which option that Ethan would choose. Well, yes, it was a moral decision, but it was never a difficult one for Ethan. I mean, the events of the movie literally started because Ethan wouldn't allow his friend Luther to be killed. In every situation, if there's an opportunity to save everybody, or at least everybody who's not a bad person, then Ethan will take that option, no matter how slim the odds are. Ethan struggles to allow any good person to get hurt, whether he knows them personally like Luther, or if it's a completely random stranger like this cop. On his watch, he won't let anyone die. Obviously, Ethan shoots all four men with the most accurate aim and lightning speed to save the woman, and then he uses the woman's police radio to call help for her before he and his team leave. And that perfectly describes the kind of person that Ethan Hunt is. He chose the superego over the id with absolutely zero hesitation. If there was one moment in any of the Mission Impossible movies that show you who the main character is, who you're supposed to be rooting for, it's this one. Ethan Hunt is your likable, selfless action hero who everybody can cheer for. Even though this scene didn't really add to the plot, it added to Ethan's character, which I'd argue is more important in a movie. Adding to the characters is essential for getting an audience invested in a film. You can have as many cool scenes as you want with Tom Cruise hijacking a helicopter without CGI, but you need to remind the audience what kind of person it is that they're supposed to be rooting for. By having this scene in Mission Impossible Fallout where Ethan Hunt so easily makes the selfless choice in what to most people would be a moral dilemma, it allows the audience to remember why they like Ethan as a character in the first place. So when moments like the helicopter scene take place towards the end of the movie, you're cheering for Ethan and against August Walker. This scene is just another small part of what makes Mission Impossible Fallout such a great action movie. It's definitely the best film in the Mission Impossible series, and in my opinion, it might actually be one of the best action movies of all time. Give it another 10, 15 years, and people will look back on this as a classic.